Hello students, welcome to A to Z subject. Today we are going to discuss the CBSE class 10th subject, that is AI 417, and the today's topic is communication skills. The contents of the topic are methods of communication, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, feedback and sentence. Okay, so we will discuss these topics.
So, what is the meaning of communication? The word communication comes from the Latin word communicare, meaning to share. When we have to share something, that is communication. Now, what are the important parts of communication? So, communication has three important parts. First, transmitting. Second, listening. Third, feedback. What is transmitting? The sender transmits the message through one medium or another. Suppose you are talking to your friend, so you are the sender and you are transmitting your message through one medium or another. It can be phone, it can be laptop or anything. Listening. The receiver listens or understands the message. Your friend is the receiver. And what is the feedback? The receiver conveys their understanding of the message to the sender in the form of feedback to complete the communication cycle. So what is the feedback? If your friend is understanding your message, he will give you the feedback. So these are the three important parts of communication. Next, what is the process of communication? Communication process. So let us see the communication process in detail. Suppose this is the messenger, this is the recipient. So messenger is sending some message. There is a channel. The channel can be with the help of speaking you are sending, with the help of writing you are sending, with the help of graphics you are sending, or videos you are sending the message. Okay. So what is coding here? Coding means the language. So first you have to code that sentence in any language, whether it is in English or Hindi, that is coding. Okay. Then at the receiver end, there is decoding. He will understand your message with the help of decoding. He will decode your message. Okay. So this is what he has understood, the recipient. When he or she decodes, he will understand. Okay. So this is the process of communication. Okay. So here we are having the input and here we are having the output. So this is the messenger and the recipient. This is the communication process. Now, next, elements of communication. What are the different elements of communication? Sender, a channel, message, receiver. These are the elements of communication. So communication always starts with the sender. He sends a message through a channel. Sender sends a message. A channel is used to transfer the message. Then receiver is receiving the message. He is replying to the sender. So message is received. And again through the same channel, the receiver replies to the sender. So this is the sender. So he is giving the information. He is receiving the information. So these are the elements of communication. What are the elements? The elements are sender, receiver, channel, message. Okay. So these are the methods. So first is face-to-face informal communication. So what is the description of this? Face-to-face means if we are talking to our friend face-to-face, in person, then that is face-to-face communication. It helps the message to be understood clearly and quickly. Okay. And since the body language can also be seen between the two, it adds the effectiveness to the communication. Then email. Email can be used to communicate quickly with one or more individuals in various locations. It offers flexibility, convenience and low cost. The main advantage of email is it offers the convenience and the low cost. Okay, then the notices and the poster. It is effective when the same message has to go to a large group of people. Okay, so when you are talking to your students, you have to send some guidelines to the students, then you are using the notice. And posters you are using when you want to show something to the large crowd, then you are using the poster. Okay, so for example, changing in the lunch time for the factory workers, or XYZ clothing will remain closed for customers on Sunday. So this type of communication is done with the help of notices and posters. And then business meetings. Communication during business meetings at an organization are generally addressed to a group of people. It can be related to business management and organizational decisions. So these are the business meetings. Next is other methods. There can be various other methods like social networks, message, phone call for communication, newsletters, blog, etc. So these are some other methods. Okay. So how to choose the right method of communication depends on the target audience and cost, kind and type of information, and urgency and priority. So depending upon these 4 factors, we can choose the right method of communication. If the target audience is large group, then we have to use the notice. Okay. If the cost matters, then we have to use the mail. And if we have to send some business proposals, so we have to have the business meetings. And if we are having some urgency or priority, then we have to do the face-to-face conversation. As a verbal communication, it includes sounds, words, language, and speech. So speaking is one of the most effective and commonly used way of communicating. It helps in expressing our emotions in words. So this is the verbal communication, where we include sounds, words, language, and speech. Then, what are the different types of verbal communication? Interpersonal communication, written communication, small group communication. So what is interpersonal communication? Takes place between 2 individuals and is a one-to-one communication or conversation. Okay. A manager discussing the performance with an employee, 2 friends discussing about their homework, 2 people talking to each other over a phone or video call. So that is interpersonal communication. What is written? This form of communication involves writing words. It can be letters, circular, report, manual. Example, a manager writing an appreciation email to an employee. So this is a written communication. The small group, this type of communication takes place when there are more than 2 people involved. Each participant can interact and converse with the rest. That is the press conferences, board meetings, and team meetings, like that. And another is public communication. This type of communication takes place when one individual addresses a large gathering. That is election campaigns, public speeches by the dignitaries. So public communication. Advantages of verbal communication. What are the advantages? It is an easy mode of communication in which you can exchange ideas by saying what you want and get a quick response. And verbal communication also enables you to keep changing your interaction as per the other people's response. Okay. So if you want a quick response, so you will go for verbal communication. Disadvantage of verbal communication: since verbal communication depends on written or spoken words, sometimes the meanings can be confusing and difficult to understand if the right words are not used. Okay, so you have to be precise regarding your words. Mastering the verbal communication. How to master the verbal communication? Think before you speak. You should be concise and clear. You should have a confidence in the body language. So think about your topic. Then write down whatever you plan to say and speak clearly, loudly, and at a moderate speed. Be sure the information you want to share is to the point and do not repeat the same sentences again and again. And be confident, maintain the eye contact and stand straight and be attentive. Okay, this is the body language. What is a non-verbal communication? Non-verbal communication is the expression or exchange of information or messages without saying any spoken or written word. This is a non-verbal communication. What is the importance of non-verbal communication? In our day-to-day communication, 55% communication is done using body movements, face, arms, etc. And 38% is done using voice tone, pauses, etc. Only 7% communication is done using words. So you can see 55% communication is done using body movements. Then what is non-verbal communication? It involves gestures, expressions, body language. Raising a hand to greet or say goodbye, pointing your finger at someone, smiling when you are happy, making a sad face when you are sad. So these are expressions. Body language, postures by which attitude and feelings are communicated. And types of non-verbal communication of facial expressions, gestures or body language, postures. Okay, so that is a non-verbal communication types. Touch. We communicate a great deal through touch. Space. Space is the physical distance between two people. The space between two persons while communicating depends on the intimacy or closeness between them. Eye contact. The way we look at someone can communicate a lot. And paralanguage, how we speak affects our communication and includes the tone, speed and volume of our voice. For example, talking fast may show happiness, excitement or nervousness, while speaking slow may show seriousness or sadness. Okay. Then non-verbal communication, visual communication, exchanging information through images is also a type of non-verbal communication. Like this is the picture for under construction, no pets are allowed, no parking zone, no entry, danger warning, radiation biohazard warning, under CCTV surveillance, no mobile phone. So this is visual communication through images. What is communication cycle and importance of feedback? Feedback is an important part of communication cycle. If you see, we are having sender is communicating with the receiver, receiving, sending the feedback. So it is the important part of communication cycle. For effective communication, it is important that the sender receives an acknowledgement from the receiver about getting the message across. So feedback can be anything positive or negative. A good feedback is always specific, helpful and kind. Types of feedback: positive feedback, negative feedback, no feedback. So positive feedback example, I noticed you finished the work perfectly, great job. So this is positive. Negative, you keep forgetting to smile at the hotel guest when you talk to them. No feedback, it is also a feedback in itself which indicates disagreement of ideas. That is no feedback. Okay. So this is the type of feedback. Then effective communication. Effective communication methods, whether non-verbal, verbal and visual, can only be effective if we follow the 5 basic principles of professional communication skills. These can be abbreviated as 7 C's. What do we mean by 7 C's? Clear, concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete and courteous. Clear, be clear about what you say. Concise, use simple words only. What is needed? Use exact words and facts. Concrete. Use correct spelling and grammar. Correct. Coherent, words should make sense and relate to main topic. Words should make sense. Include all the needed information. Complete. And be respectful, friendly and honest, courteous. So that is 7 C's of effective communication. Okay. Then we have barriers of communication. What are the barriers to effective communication? The physical barriers, the linguistic barriers, the cultural barriers and the interpersonal barriers. These are the barrier or organizational barriers. These are the barriers to communication. So what are physical barrier? Physical barrier is the environmental and natural condition that act as a barrier in communication and in sending the message from sender to receiver. And what is linguistic barrier? Language, where the language is involved. The inability to communicate using a language is known as a language barrier to communication. Okay. Then what are interpersonal barriers? Barriers of interpersonal communication occur when the sender message is received differently from how it was intended. That is interpersonal barrier. And what is organizational barrier? Organizations are designed on the basis of formal hierarchical structure that follow performance standard, rules and regulation, procedures, policies, behavioral norms. So the organization barriers related to organizations. If you are not following particular hierarchy, then it is the organizational barriers. What is cultural barrier? Cultural barrier is when people of different cultures are unable to understand each other's customs, resulting in inconveniences and difficulties. So these are the barriers to effective communication. Then writing skills. There are different parts of speech, as you know. Capitalization rules. What do we mean by capitalization rules? We used to capitalize title, T-I-N-S. So capitalize the first letter in title used before people's name. Capitalize the letter I when it is used as a word. Capitalize the first letter in the names of people, place, days and months. Capitalize the first letter in every sentence. So this is name starting I-T, title. For example, Dr. Malik and Mr. Pandey were invited to the party. So T is capital. He said that I should accompany him to the mall. I is capitalized. The summer break is starting this Friday and will continue till the end of June. So first letter in the names of people, Suresh, Friday. The capitalize the first letter in every sentence. The little girl lost her book, the. Okay, so these are capitalization rules. What are punctuations? Full stop, comma, question mark, exclamation, apostrophe. Used at the end of the sentence, used to indicate a pause in the sentence, used at the end of a question, used at the end of a word or sentence to indicate a strong feeling, used followed by S to show position or belonging. So that is apostrophe. What are the different parts of speech now? Noun, pronoun, adjective, verbs, adverbs. What is noun? Word, naming words that refer to a person, place, thing or idea. Pronoun, words used in place of noun like she, he. Adjective, word that describe other words. Best-selling book. So adjective. Best-selling is the adjective. Verbs, words that show action. Kavita buys a new book. So buys is a verb. Adverb, words that add meaning to verbs by answering how often, when and where. Kavita quickly read her book. Quickly tells us about Kavita did the action. Supporting parts of speech are articles, conjunctions, prepositions, interjections like a and the, conjunction and, but, because, preposition on, over, it, in, interjection, wow, help. Okay. Writing skills. Sentence. So how to form a sentence in English? Subject, verb, object. He swam in the lake. He is the subject. Swam is the verb. The lake is the object. Okay. So he swam in the lake. What are the different types of sentences? Statement or declarative, question or interrogative, emotion, reaction or exclamatory sentence, order or imperative. Declarative, provide information or state a fact. Interrogative, ask a question. Emotions, expresses a strong emotion. Order or imperative, shows an order, command, request or advice. Okay.
So thank you for watching A to Z subject. और इसी तरीके के वीडियो हम आपके लिए लाते रहेंगे. तब तक के लिए आप A to Z सब्जेक्ट को लाइक करें, शेयर करें और सब्सक्राइब करें. थैंक यू.